faves, it's B. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing another bullet journal video. I'm doing my April 2020 plan with me, and for this month's theme I decided to go with airplanes. I didn't do the modern airplanes, I just did the vintage, more older looking ones. So yeah, this whole spread or this whole month is kind of more on the vintage side, and I've actually been liking that style also recently. I've talked about liking the collaging and stuff, and that kind of ties in with the vintage look. I didn't do any collaging this month, but it is more vintage, and so I'm just in love with that look right now, so I had to incorporate it in here. Right now I am just outlining the airplane, and I outlined the banner that's in the back that says April, and now I am coloring in the April. This is a font that I saw online. It's just basically kind of 3D vintage looking font where you use two different colors, and I really liked it, and I did use it throughout this month, so I hope you guys like it too. Another thing that I used a lot were the banners. I first got the idea for the banners from looking at pictures of airplanes, because apparently airplanes are known for carrying banners behind them. And I know that that's a thing, though I've never seen it in my life, so whatever. But yeah, I used a lot of banners this month. I really like banners, but I've never been able to actually incorporate them into any of my spreads just because they don't really fit the theme. So I'm really glad that this theme could fit them, so I could try out the banners because I've never done that before, but I really do like the way that they turn out. And right now I am coloring in the airplane, and for the colors that I'm just using kind of warmer browns and oranges and yellows that are kind of muted. I think this kind of goes with the vintage look that I was going for, so that's why I chose those colors. The plane that I was like looking at originally was gray, steel, silver, all that stuff, and I did put that in the wheels and that front part that I'm coloring in right now, but I didn't really use any grays for the majority of my planes, so that's what makes them a little different, because I don't think planes are brown, but whatever. I just liked it, so I kept it. And now I'm finishing up coloring the plane, and then I'm going to go over the bottom just to add a little shadow, and then add a little bit more of the white pens for highlights that I had been doing before. And then I'm adding a light gray to the darker parts of the banner. And now I'm moving on to my quote page. I finally got to use that compass stamp that I showed in my mini stationery haul, so I used that in the bottom left hand corner, and then I drew a box with a yellow marker and then went over it a couple times with a black pen. And now I'm writing my quote in a calligraphy style using my Tombow Funosuke brush pen. And the quote says, "When everything seems to be going against you, remember that the airplane takes off against the wind, not with it." So this one is supposed to be pretty inspirational and positive, and considering the things that are going on right now with the coronavirus, I thought that it was also appropriate to be staying positive and knowing that things will get better, and even though everything seems like it's going against us right now, it will get better one day. Hopefully soon. And now I'm moving on to my calendar spread. So yes, I've changed it again. In March, I think that spread really would have worked for me if I had actually used it. But considering we went into quarantine about halfway through March, didn't really get to use it, and a lot of my things got canceled, and yeah, a lot of things just didn't happen. I didn't need all of that space since my time got freed up so suddenly. So I am doing a one-page calendar since I didn't want to go back to the whole two-page one, since I knew I didn't really need the space, but I still wanted to have a calendar just so I could see an overview, and in case anything came up, I wanted to write it down. But I didn't need every week in a separate box because a lot of things are not really going to happen. And at the top of the page, I am drawing another airplane and drawing April in the same vintage font that I did on the cover. I'm using different colors every time I do this font just to switch it up and keep it interesting. For this one, I just did a brown and a light brown. I didn't really use any oranges on this page, so it stayed kind of neutral instead of warm, and I kept the plane the same way so that they would look cohesive, and I think this page turned out really nice. Finishing up coloring the plane, I'm adding some highlights and shadows just so it looks a little less flat. And now moving on to the other side of the page, I am doing my word tracker. So this is new to me for this month in a video. I did it in November, though I added it later in the month, which is why you guys didn't get to see it in my setup. But this is basically a tracker for me to track how many words I write a day. This is for Camp NaNoWriMo, which is this month. NaNoWriMo is National Novel Writing Month, which is in November, but this month is just a Camp NaNoWriMo, so I decided to participate in that since I have free time and I don't want to be wasting it, so I thought I'd do something that I enjoy, so I'm going to try and get back into writing, and this will help me do that. And now moving on, I am doing my mood tracker page. Again, I'm doing the same vintage font that I have been doing, and underneath I did a font that I also started doing. It is the airplane banner font. That's what I'm calling it. But when I looked up airplane banners, this is the type of font that they had. It was kind of block-like, so that's what I tried to do so it wouldn't all be this vintage font. And now I'm adding all of those banners that I promised. There's a lot, 30 to be exact. These are all of the banners that I'm going to be using for my mood tracker, and I separated them as best as I could naturally into the sections. Like, I didn't try to divide them up line by line. Like, I did these square ones that I could have multiple numbers in, but for the regular ones I tried to add loops so that I could divide those sections out like that and add as many numbers in there as possible so that I could fit 30 days. And so these are the ones that I'm going to color in, and for each one of these banners I also had to draw a plane. That's what made this a little more time consuming, because I had to draw and color in each little plane that I drew, but I still really like the way that it looks and the way that it turned out, and I think that it was pretty worth it, and I think it fits the theme pretty well. So yeah. And at the bottom I drew a bigger plane, which is gonna work as my key, and it's also going to work as the plane that is pulling the banner for the other side of the page. And I felt so smart when I did this. I don't know, I really like the fact that I did this. It makes me feel smart and clever. And now I'm adding the propellers, and I'm doing this by breaking up the lines of a circle and using a thinner pen just to kind of give the effect that they are moving. And now I am coloring in my little planes. I'm kind of going one color at a time, and I colored them all in pretty much using the colors that will be in the key, and just kind of randomly put the colors where I wanted them until I liked it. So that's what I'm doing. And now I am writing down what each of the colors mean and moving on to the other side of the page, which is my brain dump. So for this, I drew a banner and wrote brain dump in the airplane banner font that I've been using, and I just colored it in with a darker orange. So I kept this page pretty simple since most of the stuff is gonna go in the page later in life. If I use it this month, I'm not sure if I will, since I mostly look at my bullet journal when I have things to do, and since I don't really have things to do, I don't really look at it I am doing online school right now, so most of the things that are on my to-do list are already online for me to see, so I don't really need to write anything down, but I will try to. And now I am doing my weekly spread. I used all of the colors that I've been using throughout this month and just used different colors for each of the boxes, and then I went over it with a black pen repeatedly, just like I did for the quote page at the very beginning. And I'm using the vintage font again and using different colors for that. I couldn't decide whether I wanted to do it black and white or have the different colors, but I decided that it would be more fun to have them all colorful, and in the end I really do like this spread, and I am glad that I picked doing them different colors because I do think it looks a lot more fun. For the days, I used the same airplane banner font, though I only showed the Tuesday one or just one of them just because you couldn't really see what I was doing because my hand was in the way, and it was really pointless to even leave that in there. So at the bottom of the page now, I am adding an airplane and a quote since I do have a little bit of extra space. And I am drawing this airplane now and then coloring it in using the same colors I've been using, and I think this airplane turned out really good for some reason. I don't know, this type of airplane has been looking good throughout this month, so I'm really happy with it. Now I'm adding some highlights and shadows again just to make it look a little less flat. And for the quote, I used the airplane banner font and calligraphy font, and it says, "Your wings already exist, all you have to do is fly." And I thought that was another positive, inspirational quote since that is exactly what we need during this time right now. And I know you also can't really see what I'm doing that much with my hand in the way right now, but I thought I'd at least put this in there a little bit. Alright, so this is the final flip through of my April 2020 plan with me. I hope you guys enjoyed this theme because I know I say it every time, but I really, really, really liked this one this time, okay? And if you did like it, please give it a big thumbs up, comment down below, and share it, and subscribe to my channel for more videos from me. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!